flights out
Fixed wing, launch in progress.
Connery. Roger.
In 2004, one of the most experienced fighter pilots in the United States Navy was flying a routine training exercise off the coast of San Diego. Commander David Fravor had been flying FA-18 Hornets for decades. He had logged thousands of flight hours. He was, by any objective measure, exactly the kind of person you'd want piloting an aircraft when something unusual shows up. Well, what showed up was a white, featureless oval object, roughly 40 feet long. No wings, no visible propulsion, no exhaust, just hovering over churning water as if something beneath its surface was disturbing it. When Fravor flew towards it in his jet, it rose to meet him, mirroring his trajectory, ascending as he descended. When he spiraled down, it spiraled up, and then, when Fravor was close enough to get a proper look at it, it accelerated away so fast that he said years later, under oath, before a congressional committee, it took off like a bullet out of a gun. It was gone. 60 miles away, seconds later, the radar on the USS Princeton, the guided missile cruiser that had been tracking the object for days before Fravor ever saw it, picked it up again, 60 miles from where it had just been. That object was later named the Tic Tac, for obvious reasons. The video of a subsequent encounter captured by the infrared camera of a different aircraft was quietly leaked in 2017, published on the front page of the New York Times and confirmed as authentic by the Pentagon in 2020. The United States Department of Defense officially stated that the video shows a real object captured by military sensors that they cannot identify. This is not a fringe claim. This is the official position of the United States government. And yet somehow, in the years since then, the conversation about what these objects actually are has moved both faster and more strangely than almost anyone could have anticipated. So let's start with what's documented and verified, because there's actually plenty of that. Between November 10 and November 14th, 2004, the USS Nimitz carrier strike group tracked multiple unidentified objects on radar off the coast of Southern California. The objects had been appearing in restricted airspace for days. Gary Voris, a petty officer aboard the USS Princeton with 6 years of Navy experience, was the technician responsible for the ship's combat system. He told journalists that what he was seeing on his radar screens was, in his exact words, impossible. Objects moving at speeds no known aircraft could match, stopping, turning at angles that would destroy anything built by humans and disappearing. The calibration on his systems had recently been updated. The equipment was working correctly. When Fravor and 3 other pilots were finally sent to visually investigate on November 14th, they found the Tic Tac. All 4 of them. 2 pilots and 2 weapons systems officers saw it. Fravor has given essentially the same account in every interview, every congressional appearance, and every signed statement since 2004. No wings, no propulsion, no sound, and movements that defied aerodynamics. And, a speed that his FA-18 Super Hornet couldn't come close to matching. Well, there are 2 other confirmed Pentagon videos beyond the Tic Tac encounter. One is called Gimbal, and it's a different craft recorded in 2015 off the coast of Florida, which appears to rotate in place in a way no known aircraft can. Pilots in the cockpit recording are heard saying there's a whole fleet of them.
There's a whole fleet of them, look on the ASA.
My gosh.
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
Another called Go Fast shows an object moving at extraordinary speed just above the ocean surface. All 3 were officially confirmed as authentic by the Department of Defense.
Did you box moving target?
No, I took an auto track.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Wow, look at it fly!
In June 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a preliminary report on what the government now calls UAPs, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, a term specifically chosen to remove the stigma of the old UFO label. The report examined 144 sightings reported by US military personnel between 04 and 21. The conclusion, they could explain one out of 144. The other 143 remain unidentified. The report noted that some of the objects appeared to demonstrate flight characteristics that can't be replicated, including moving at high velocity without a sonic boom, hovering with no visible means of propulsion, and the ability to submerge from air into water. The report specifically avoided ruling out extraterrestrial origin. It also specifically avoided confirming it. So make of that what you will. The honest answer, as stated by the US government, is that, well, they just don't know. Former President Barack Obama, when asked about UAPs in a 2021 television interview, said,
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern.
Well, that's the former president saying that, not some person with a tinfoil hat on a UFO forum. Like, serious shit. Now let's step back from the military footage for a moment, because the broader scientific context is where things start to get really genuinely uncomfortable. 1977. A radio telescope at Ohio State University, called the Big Ear, detected a signal from space. It was so unusual that the researcher monitoring the printouts that night wrote, "Wow," in the margin, which is how it became known as the wow signal. It had the characteristics scientists had long said to look for in possible extraterrestrial transmissions. And it came directly from the constellation of Sagittarius, or at least in that general direction. And it lasted for 72 seconds. Its profile matched exactly what a signal broadcast from another civilization might have looked like. It has never been detected again. No explanation has been conclusively agreed upon in the 47 years since. In 2017, an object entered the solar system from interstellar space. It was the first interstellar object ever confirmed to pass through our solar system, which made it extraordinary enough. It was named Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning roughly scout or messenger. And yes, I know you can flame me in the comments all you want. I am aware I did not pronounce that right. But what made it genuinely strange wasn't its origin, it was its behavior. As Oumuamua traveled away from the sun, it accelerated, not by a lot, but by enough. And here's why that is really significant. Comets accelerate in this way because of outgassing. As the sun heats them, ice on the surface vaporizes and the gas acts like a rocket propelling it. But astronomers found no outgassing with Oumuamua. No gas trail, no comet tail, no dust particles, nothing that explained the extra push it appeared to be getting from somewhere. Avi Loeb, the chair of Harvard's astronomy department for 9 years and one of the most cited astrophysicists in the world, published a paper arguing that the most scientifically consistent explanation for Oumuamua was that it was a light sail, a thin, flat object being pushed by solar radiation and pressure, similar to the way experimental spacecraft have been tested with solar sails here on Earth. His follow-up argument, if it was a light sail and it wasn't outgassing, and it came from interstellar space, the simplest remaining explanation was it was built. Most of Loeb's colleagues disagreed. Several groups published competing natural explanations, but nobody has definitively explained Oumuamua's anonymous acceleration. It has now left the solar system, and we cannot go back and check. Loeb founded the Galileo project at Harvard, which uses an observatory to continuously scan the sky using machine learning to identify unusual objects. His core argument is not that aliens are definitely visiting. His argument is more pointed. The scientific community has systematically avoided collecting data on unidentified aerial phenomena, which means there is actually a gap in human knowledge that no amount of theorizing that can fill. Data is the only answer, so go collect it. The broader question sitting behind all of this is the Fermi Paradox. So in 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi was having lunch with colleagues at Los Alamos when the conversation turned to the statistical likelihood of intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. Given the age of the galaxy, roughly 13 billion years, and the number of stars within it, roughly 200 to 400 billion, and the billions upon billions of confirmed exoplanets that we now know exist, the mathematical probability of Earth being the only planet to ever develop intelligent life is significantly and vanishingly small. Fermi's question, delivered casually over lunch, cut through all the math. Where is everyone? If intelligent life should be common, then why haven't we encountered it? Why haven't we detected signals? Why hasn't anything found us? Every proposed answer to this Fermi paradox is, in its own way, unsettling. Well, maybe intelligent civilizations always destroyed themselves before they can travel between stars, making our current trajectory deeply concerning. Maybe the distances, they're just simply too vast for any contact to occur within the given civilization's lifetime. Maybe some things filter out advanced civilizations before they become capable of interstellar travel, and we haven't hit that filter yet. Maybe we are being watched and simply haven't been deemed worth contacting. Or maybe the answer is stranger and closer than any of that. Maybe the objects that have been appearing in restricted US military airspaces since at least 2004, moving in ways that violates our known laws and understandings of aerodynamics, stopping, turning, and accelerating away from an FA-18 that can't keep up, are exactly what they look like. Things that aren't from here. The Pentagon doesn't know what they are. The pilot who watched one race away from him at impossible speeds doesn't know what it was. The radar operator on the Princeton who watched these objects appear and disappear for days says what he saw was impossible. The wow signal was never explained. Oumuamua accelerated without outgassing and nobody knows how or why. The Tic Tac is in the official record of the United States government, confirmed as being very real, but unidentified. None of this proves aliens, but the question, are we alone, now has a different kind of weight than it had in 2016. The smartest, most credentialed astrophysicist at Harvard is building an observatory specifically to find out. The US government has an entire task force whose job is to figure out what keeps showing up in restricted airspace and what it can do. And somewhere in the ocean off San Diego, below where the water was churning in 2004, something was there. Fravor saw it. 3 other people saw it. The radar logged it. And they never did find out what it was.